Hello, how are you guys? Please don't forget to subscribe on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Today, guys, we'll be doing chemistry. As you can see, it's chemistry from grade 10 to grade 12. So we'll be discussing everything. And please just follow my channel, my YouTube channel. You'll be able to learn a lot in science, mathematics, and biology. So under chemistry, we have branches of chemistry. So we have first to define what a chemistry is. A chemistry is the study of matter and the properties of the forms of matter, of the forms of what of matter. That is how we define what chemistry. So we have about five branches of what? Five branches of chemistry. So the first branch we have organic chemistry. So organic chemistry, as we can hear, organic means, as we can hear by just saying organic, meaning is the study of what? Is the study of compound of carbon and its what components. Then we have biochemistry. When we say bio, meaning there is what? Bio means living. So it's the study of chemical reactions or processes that occurs in living organisms. So such reaction or chemical reaction or processes, we have respiration and photosynthesis. Those are what? Those are chemical reaction and what processes. We also have geochemistry. So geochemistry, as we know, geo means its meaning is dealing with what? Earth. So it's the study of chemical composition and chemical reaction associated with what? The Earth and other planets. Then we also have inorganic what? Chemistry. So inorganic chemistry is the study of compound which do not contain carbon. So we have two different orga- uh, branches which are like opposite to each other. We have organic and inorganic chemistry. So organic, there is compound, there is carbon, sorry. Then inorganic, there is what? There is no carbon. So those are branches of what? Branches of chemistry. So we have four branches of chemistry. We move on. We move on to the particulate nature of what? Nature of matter, where we have what? Matter. How do we define matter? Matter is anything that occupies space and has what? It has mass. So when you get anything that occupies space and it has some weight, meaning it's what? It's matter. So we have basic unit of matter. So these three units are the ones which forms what? Forms matter. We have an atom, we have ions, we have molecules. So what is an atom? An atom is the smallest particle of an element that cannot take part in a chemical what? In a chemical reaction. It's part of what? Of part of element. So an atom, it consists of a shell, a nucleus. Under a shell, we can find electrons, which are negative charged. And under nucleus, we can find what? Proton and neutron, which a proton is a positive charge, and a neutron is zero. It does not have any charge. And then how do we define an ion? An ion is the charged what? Particle. So when we talk of a charged particle, meaning there is a positive and a negative. So under ions, we also have two different types of ions where we have cations and the anions. So cations, these are positively what? Positively charged, and the anions are negatively what? Charged. And what we have also to understand under ions, we have also to understand that since we are talking about charges, meaning there is what? There is losing and gaining. So positively charged, take note that it always does what? It loses. Negatively charged, it gains. We move on to states of matter. We have three different states of matter. We have solid, liquid, and gas. Those are three states of what? Of matter. We move on. Examples of solid, we have stones, glass blocks, wooden blocks, copper blocks. Examples of liquid, we have water, cooking oil, paraffin, petrol. Examples of gas, oxygen, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, and carbon monoxide. So when we talk of solid, solid is something that you can hold with what? Your hands. But liquid, would you be able to hold liquid? You can't unless in a container. You can just keep that liquid in a container and you'll be able to hold it. And the gas, will you be able to see gas with your naked eyes? No, you will never hold what? Gas. Those are what? Three states of matter. So these three states of matter, they are different from basic unit of matter. So we have said basic unit of matter, we have three, which is ions, molecules, and what? And ions. Sorry, we didn't define a molecule here. So what is a molecule? So a molecule is the group of what? Of atoms. When they bind together, they form what we call what? A molecule. So we move on. We move on. Hope you are following. Hope you are following. Feel free to comment if you have any question. So we move on to characteristic properties of the three states of matter. So we have shape, volume, compressibility, arrangement of particles, and movement of what? Movement of particles. So we start with shape. So if solid has a fixed shape, you'll be able to see the shape of a solid thing or substance. But liquid doesn't have a shape, but it only takes a shape of what? Of a container. And the gas has no fixed shape. Volume has fixed volume, which is the solid. Liquid has fixed volume as well. Gas has no fixed volume. We move on to compressible. We'll be able to compress solid substance. You cannot compress a stone. You cannot compress a wood. But gas or liquid, would you be able? You cannot as well. You cannot compress water. But gas, you'll be able to compress it when there's what? For example, take for instance where there's a room which is locked. It's if the moment if the room is bigger, when you are reducing in let me say gas, it is in a container. Let me give this example. Gas, it is in a container or a balloon. So you have pumped air in that balloon. So when you try to compress it, that is not when you try, sorry. So that gas in a balloon, you'll be able to do what? To compress it. From there, we move on to arrangement of particles. So particles are in solid, they are closed what? Packed and arranged in regular pattern. The particles are held together by strong electronic force of attraction called cohesive forces. We move on to liquid. Particles are slightly further apart. So please take note of these properties of what? Of matter. These are the questionable, examinable equations or things in an exam. So under gas, particles are much further apart. They are not close, as you can see those diagrams. So movement of particles. So particles move by vibrating at fixed position. They move by vibrating. Particles move by vibrating rapidly over short distance. Particles move at random. So those are properties in the movement of what? Of solid. So solid and liquid can be compressed because their particles are close together. So take note of this point. That's saying solid and liquid cannot be compressed because their particles are closed together. However, gases cannot be compressed because the gas particles are far apart, so they can be what compressed. So those are what points you have to take note of. We move on to changes of what changes in state. So we have some terminologies. Changes in state are physical changes that occur when particles of substance absorb or loses what energy. So remember to ion and what cations we said positive and negative, gaining and what losing. So when a substance can change a substance can change from one state to another when it is either heated or what cold cold cold. So these are what that is what we call what changing changes in what in a state when it changes from its normal to another state. So what is heating? So heating involves the addition or supply of heat to a substance. So we have a caving or heating cave and a cooling what cave. So a substance is heated, it absorbs energy and changes from a solid to liquid and finally to a gas. So the kinetic energy possessed by its particles increases and they move vigorously, effective of heating a substance. So what are some of the effective effects? So when a substance is heated, it melts. That's the first step. So it melts, it changes from state from solid to what? To liquid. For example, an ice when it is heated, it changes from liquid to what? To gas. So melting keeps place when the particles of solid absorb energy to overcome the force holding them in a fixed position and move. They arrange themselves to form a liquid. The temperature at which a substance changes from solid to liquid is called melting point. So there is a difference between melting point and what? Melting stage. So melting is just the process, but melting point is the temperature. Take note of that. Uses of melting. It's used in welding. It's used in cutting and shaping metals in the industries. So that is the use of what? Use of melting. What is evaporation? So after an ice has melted, it goes into liquid, and then when liquid is overheated again, it evaporates. It starts evaporating. It will start removing what steams. That process is what we call what evaporation. Evaporation. So it goes into now what we call what gas, which is a steam. So those the under what sorry, those are changes in set. What are some of the uses in it's used in a drying clothes. It's used in what? Drying clothes. It's also used in observing crystal from solutions. What are some of the factors that affect the rate of what? Evaporation. These are examinable what? Questions. Surface area, wind current, humidity, temperature. So if there is high temperature, there is humidity, there is wind current, there is the surface area. Depending with the surface area, the cloth or anything will dry what? It will dry fast. That's the reason why when you put your clothes where there is no windy, but there is windy, but there is no heat, but still that cloth will get what? Will get dry. Note that evaporation and boiling are both physical processes that change in liquid into a gas. The liquid absorbs heat energy during these physical changes instead. So they have mentioned what? Two terminologies to note. They have mentioned evaporation and what? Boiling. So what is the difference between evaporation and boiling? So evaporation at any temperature below boil. That is what? Evaporation. Before boil, it's just removing what? Gas. That is what? Evaporation. But boiling, it's at now boiling what? It occurs at boiling point, where now water has to is at 100 degree what? Celsius. From there we move on to another difference. Occurs only at the surface of the liquid. It occurs at the surface of the liquid. It occurs throughout the liquid. No bubbles are observed. Bubbles are observed. Occurs slowly. Occurs rapidly. I think you can testify. So what is sublimation? So sublimation is just like we have sublimation is the process, or is the process by which solid turns into gas, and and or a gas into what? Solid. You are trying to cool that gas and it will become what? Solid. That is what? Sublimation. So sublimation is the direct change of state from solid to gas by heating, or gas to solid by cooling without passing through the liquid what? State. That is what? Sublimation. We move on to examples of sublimation. So take note of these sublimations. We they take note of what? These examples of what? Sublimation. So we have iodine, ammonium sulfate, ammonium chloride, carbon dioxide upon cooling to form ice. Those are what? Examples of sub, sub examples of substance that can do what? That can sublime, sorry. That can change from solid to gas, or from gas to what? To solid. Example of gas to solid are is this one, carbon dioxide.